Hello guys, welcome back to the channel once again. Today I'm super uber mega excited to share with y'all the story of Niki and Jinnie and their relationship that actually developed on this very interesting series. But before we get into further details, please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Yes, please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get right into it.
प्यार से मुझे जिनी बुलाते हैं.
Hi, I'm Nikki और प्यार से
Jinnie, you're really special to me.
सड़ो मत.
मैं सड़ी नहीं हूँ.
जाएंगे.
Fine, I'll come.
You will?
Yeah.
कि हम डेट पे जा रहे हैं.
हाँ तो डेट ही है.
No, that's okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so to be honest, one thing I have to say is that you can basically see that right off the bat when these two basically met each other, there was an instant connection. Even though, the series is not centered around their relationship and everything they go through, but we can see like episode by episode how they get together and how their relationship basically develops and how they actually end up being and becoming, a union or complicated union, we can say that. So if you guys don't know about the existence of this series, it's basically called The Royals. Yes, it's a 2025 Indian Hindi language series. It's a comedy, drama, romance. It basically follows the clash between an entitled prince and a tech startup, entrepreneur who's basically exploring their opposing worlds and basically just trying to find a way on how to incorporate both so they can make things happen when it comes to, the royal family trying to maintain, their wealth, and not only that, also staying out of trouble, and also in this case for the startup tech, also to succeed in her business and see and get her company to where she see itself being. Obviously, I'm not gonna focus on that. I'm just gonna focus on the relationship between Niki and Jinnie. So basically, Niki is described as a layered, stylish, and also emotional complex. And also, she is queer, and basically, she's very self-assured, independent. The moment she laid her eyes on Jinnie, she knew that she some way somehow was interested in her. But obviously, she also didn't want to make things complicated because she wasn't sure that in this case, Jinnie also liked women and all of that. But you can see also that Jinnie, right from the bat, she also had that immediate contact and connection with Niki, but she didn't understand what that meant. It's just because she's beautiful, because she's a nice person, what is going on. And obviously, on the other hand, we have Jinnie. Jinnie, she's basically portrayed as a modern day princess with a unique and edge style, and also discovers her interest in women when she basically meets Niki. Yeah, so that's basically how everything starts. Imagine, because in this case, you can see that Niki, she went to work, in the palace, and obviously that's where she met Jinnie, and yes, that's where the interest between the two basically began. And not only that, you can basically go ahead and go watch the storyline on season one on Netflix. Yes, it's only available on Netflix, and it's basically called The Royals. Yes, The Royals on Netflix, one season. So let me get into a couple more details regarding their situation, their relationship. So you can see right from like I said, right from the beginning, even though Niki was very interested in Jinnie, she also didn't want to put a step forward because she didn't know like what was Jinnie into. But you can see Jinnie was actually the one that was basically pursuing, Jinnie in some way, somehow. Always when she saw her, go speak to her, and also the two coming together to, they have also private conversations. Actually, Jinnie was the one who introduced herself to Nick, and obviously Nikki then for just follow up the conversation. And then later on, you can basically see that, in this case, Jinnie's brother, who is the prince, he starts to see that, Niki is attracted to Jinnie. And during a conversation that Niki and Jinnie had, he basically just, told like Jinnie, you know that Niki is attracted to you. And obviously that led, in this case, Jinnie to confusion, even though she have, kissed women before, but she never actually been attracted to a woman the way she is to Niki, and she doesn't know how to handle, this emotion. But obviously Niki, she's very respectful. She doesn't go for anything she's not, and she's also not going for a woman that doesn't know what she wants because she's very much self-assured. So basically Nikki ends up inviting Jinnie to go with her to the dance so they can, just go to the dance together like as a date. But Jinnie was like, is it a date, isn't it a date? And later on, obviously, Nikki tell her like, hey, I don't know what you're going through, I know you're confused, I was there a couple of years ago, but until you don't figure out what you want, let's just skip this at that. Obviously, later on, they went to the dance, and obviously, there's the moment where, Jinnie just basically ends up grabbing, Niki, taking her to a private place, and they shared a kiss. So after the kiss, the things between them got a little bit awkward because you can see that somewhere, somehow, Jinnie was distancing herself from Niki, and obviously, Niki was trying to be as much as respectful as she could, trying to understand, like, hey, we just had a moment, we just shared the kiss, and now you just awkward and weird. And you can also see that in this case, Jinnie started to make up a lot of excuses to avoid contact with Niki. But obviously, Niki was also being respectful regarding it. But later on, obviously, they sorted that out. They had a conversation, they made up. And later on, there's where things got on another aspect. You can see that in this case, Nikki, she actually left, the town where, Jinnie is from, because the whole job thing didn't go as planned. So she went back to her city and she left without saying anything. In this case, to Jinnie, and Jinnie was upset about it because she felt like, hey, you should have at least just told me that you are leaving, and so on and so on and so on. And later on, obviously, Nikki had a conversation with her, and they basically made up. They came to a common ground, and in this case, Nikki even told her, "Hey, why don't you come here and come stay, in the town, so we can spend time together and all of that." But she said, like, "Hey, I cannot right now. My family needs me until I don't sort out my family issues. I feel like it's not the right thing for me to do." And obviously, Nikki once again was being respectful for God regarding it, and also helping her out. Later on, by the end of the series, you can actually see that they actually end up solving their issues. And in this case, Nikki and Jinnie, they come together. And I won't say they were in a full blown relationship, but I can definitely see that they got onto the right terms again. But later on, towards the end of the series, you can see that in this case, Jinnie, she's starting to question a lot of things because her brothers, finally got to where they want to be at life, or basically on their way to getting there. And now she's like the only daughter, and she feels left out, because, everything is going on with her financial situations. Her brothers are going on to their own routes. And now, what about her? What is in for her? What is her? Who is she? What does she stand for? What is her identity besides just being a princess? Because she, being a princess, she's also only known for being a princess, and princesses, they don't do anything, say just royalty. So you can basically see that Jinnie is also battling with that, trying to figure out what's for her, because you can see that she's with an independent woman, even though she's not as wealthy as Jinnie, in the financial aspect. You can see that Nick is very independent. She works, she's dedicated to her craft. She cares about her independence. She cares about being free. So it's just the whole opposite of Jinnie. Even though Jinnie wants it as well, she doesn't know how to get there. She doesn't know what is her purpose, what is her ambitions, what does she want to do. So there's a whole lot that she's just trying to figure out. So basically, that's where the series left off when it comes to them. Yes, to be honest, the only thing I would say that I disliked about the series is that I would have liked to see them together a little bit more. But I also get is season one, it's an introduction. Hopefully, if there is a season two, we will get a little bit more of them together. I feel like they will be truly, truly, truly amazing. I really enjoyed like the chemistry between them, and also the fact that they actually had moment when they kissed. And not only that, they could share some moments together, even when it was just for 1 minute or 2 minutes in each episode. I just still feel like it was worth it. But yes, the series is very good. I will highly rate it a strong 6 out of 10. It could have been better, but I will rate it a 6 out of 10. Once again, guys, it is called The Royals, and you can well go ahead and go watch it on Netflix. And you can also turn on the subtitles just in case you don't speak Hindi. But yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Until the next video, and goodbye.